Hello there, it's Wale Oladipo here. Calming down an anxious brain. Calming down an anxious brain. How can we calm down a brain that is overreactive to anxiety? We do know that we are in an age of anxiety. Wherever you look, anxiety is on the increase in our environment. It seems as if the evolutionary program of the human mind is lagging behind with regards to the speed at which things are happening in our environment. If a mind is overstretched, overdriven by chronic life exposure, that mind can encode anxiety as a natural state. If you have anxiety today, your daughter or your son has anxiety, or somebody you love has anxiety, how can you help them transform? And that is the focus for today, and I'll be back. The number one step towards transforming an anxious brain is to understand anxiety. That's the first place to start. Discovery always precedes recovery. Understand that anxiety is a natural state, is an innate primitive defense mechanism that has been encoded into the fabrics of the brain matter. Anxiety, the original purpose, is to help us to survive. Because if a truck is coming towards you and your anxiety center is not activated, then something is wrong. The purpose of anxiety is longevity, to protect us. Even some science, some studies in animal studies have shown that without the anxiety center in us, the human species will struggle to adapt to the enormous amount of changes that we face today. So the first understanding of anxiety is that anxiety is a positive energy that requires leadership, nurturing, and that's very critical. Knowing that you could understand anxiety, the anxiety center within my emotional brain could be studied, could be understood, and could be embraced. At the same time, could be nurtured to reduce its activity in your day-to-day living. The second step to calming down an anxious brain is to understand the biochemistry of anxiety. And the whole biochemistry thing is very huge. But the one part that I like to focus on today is to understand that you can modulate your biochemical reactions based on what you're focusing on, based on what consciousness is doing. And what I want you to focus in this area is this. Think about the blood flow activities in the brain. Think in terms of the blood flow. This is very critical. This could be one of the most very powerful little tips for recovery. When we have anxiety, the brain does not receive blood flow symmetrically through the entire brain system. The survivor brain demands more blood flow because your survival, your emergency has been prioritized. So that means the high cognitive center, the executive capacities of the prefrontal cortex, that's supposed to oversee the entire brain regions and also to regulate the amygdala, which is the anxiety center, the survival center, does not have enough blood flow. So the prefrontal cortex, which is the CEO of your brain, the one that's supposed to overlook even the primitive part of you, the anxiety center, if it's too weak in blood flow, it cannot regulate your emotions. So think in terms of the blood flow. What are the things that you can do daily that could boost blood flow to your brain? Such as exercise, such as laughter, plenty of laughter, gratitude. Studies have shown that gratitude dilates your cerebral artery so that the blood can flow easily. Your heart will work even less because the brain vessels have been dilated so the blood could just flow easily. without taxing your heart tremendously. So what can you do? Exercise, I've mentioned exercise. Social connectedness, one of the most powerful anxiety reducing platforms is this social connectedness factor. Community, because what the anxiety center wants you to do is to withdraw, but recovery wants you to connect. Connection and community, very powerful for recovery. Good diet also boosts cerebral blood flow. If you eat a lot of bad diets, especially sugar is very pro-inflammatory, and anxiety has been categorized as part of the inflammation of the brain conditions. So reduce sugar drastically, and eat well, eat your vegetables, eat well, eat balanced diet. That will enable the cortisol secretion to be reduced because of the insulin spiking. If you eat junk food all the time, a lot of sugar, you will spike your insulin. And what the body does in response to that is to increase the cortisol production, which is one of the stress hormones. So that means high anxiety. What can you do in your environment to boost blood flow? Prayer, studies have shown, boosts cerebral blood flow. Meditation, mindfulness, yoga, different forms of exercises. What can you do to boost blood flow? If you under exercise, if you live is very, very sedentary life, you are not optimizing your brain, especially your emotional brain, to be able to regulate your emotions. And while Oladipo, this is not everything that is required to transform your anxiety, but it goes a long way. So start today. Think about the blood flow to your brain every single day, and the result is you moving towards the destination of recovery. I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye. By the way, share this, share it, like it, and let other people know about this. Speak to you soon. Bye bye.